Hey folks, Sam Whitfield here. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for downloading the audio podcast and listening to the show wherever you may be. I really appreciate it. And I would like to let you know that you can also now support the show directly via Anchor. If you go to anchor.fm/Whitfield Report, you can now support the show using Apple Pay or Android Pay on your mobile device, depending on which type of phone you have. And you can contribute $1, $5, or $10 as the 3 levels of contribution. I would really appreciate anything that you can give. Every little bit helps the show. And you can find the link to support the show directly in your show notes, depending on which app you're using. I would really appreciate the support if you can. If not, please continue to support the show by giving us a rating on iTunes and sharing with your friends. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Hey folks, welcome to the Thursday edition of the Whitfield Report audio exclusive podcast. As always, I'm Sam Whitfield, and this week for the Thursday edition, I'm joined by 4 of my good friends from the Young Americas for Liberty Foundation, the chapter that we started at my college campus. Seth, Andre, Orion, and Michael, who are all very good guys. And we talked about some important topics today, but we did it in such a way that we pretty much just bullshitted and talked with each other for about an hour and just shot the shit and made politically incorrect jokes, as normal guys are about to do. It wasn't really formal. We just hung out and chatted and ate some hot wings when we recorded this early today. It was a lot more casual and laid back, kind of like the Joe Rogan podcast. And for those of you who are looking at the episode title and wondering why the hell I titled the episode, just wait until the ending and you'll see what I mean. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoy this week's edition of the audio exclusive podcast, and enjoy, and I'll let you know what's going on the Saturday show after the podcast, so stay tuned. Alright folks, enjoy the show. Alright folks, as most of you know, I helped to start a chapter of the Young Americas for Liberty on my college campus. So this week for the Thursday edition of the podcast, I've got my buddies Orion,
No way, come on!
Seth, Andre, or Thomas as we call him, and Michael.
I am an infiltrator. Hello.
So, it's, we've got 5 guys here. This is going to be kind of like the Joe Rogan podcast, where we're just gonna spitball, and we don't have any weed here, so we can't exactly do JRE, but we're gonna try. So,
we're gonna get high off the board.
There you go.
We're get high off the board. That should make me sick anyway.
Exactly. Oh, I should mention that we're also like in the campus ministry office, but we're going to curse like drunken sailors anyway, because that's how we fucking roll here. Yeah.
Right?
But anyway, I guess which one of you guys wants to go first and do a little bit, guy?
Michael, did you have a story? Well, yeah. So, Andre, and just so everybody knows, I actually do have brain damage, so I forget names real friggin' easily.
Seth.
Seth, thank you. Andre and Seth earlier were talking about a video series I've seen on YouTube of a guy who goes out and does a lot of hunting and pretty much just cooks the animal right there, then and there. Here's sort of an interesting anti-vegan, anti-vegetarian fun little thing. So there is a restaurant up in Toronto, Canada called The Antler. And it's a restaurant that specializes completely in wild game. Pretty much serving things like venison and all that fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's also a restaurant that is very subject to protests from pretty much animal rights activists, people that are vegan and vegetarian. They friggin' hate that place. Well, they've never really done anything too terrible. They're not like damaging the property or anything. So, I mean, at least they're being pretty reasonable about their protests, although they do disrupt this guy's business a whole lot. It actually got to the point where, and you can find the videos on YouTube, the dude decided, you know what, screw it, I'm going to give the biggest FU I really can to you people. So he brought out a raw leg of venison, brought it out to a table right near the front window, and started carving it up right then and there in front of their faces.
Oh my gosh.
The biggest, FU they could possibly think of.
I'm really hungry now.
We've also got wings here. So.
Courtesy of Wing House.
Not a paid sponsor.
Yeah.
Although they could be.
Not yet.
No, well, yeah, not with my politics. Although, aren't they one of the restaurants with the hot waitresses, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the one that was in Sarasota. I straight up think
stable.
the waitresses in there were prostitutes on the side.
Well,
Gosh, dang, bro.
The one that was in
In Main Street,
Sarasota.
Sarasota,
It got shut down.
Oh, it did?
So that should tell you enough of that. It
Yeah.
got shut down. So the whole them possibly being prostitutes,
Probably true.
there's a good likelihood. I mean, if they got shut down.
Dang.
yeah, but anyway, yeah, that venison store is crazy, man.
If you want to protest not eating meat, that's fine and dandy, but you're gonna disrupt some dude's business over it. That's just gonna take it a little far.
Yeah.
I found it funny how he decided just to tell them go fuck yourself.
Well, it's
I don't think I've taken it that far though.
well.
Oh yeah, it can be worse. He's just doing his work outside. Exactly. What is he doing? He's doing his job.
Yeah.
It's
true.
They were not happy about it.
Well,
that's for damn sure.
I mean, they're the ones that are coming in with their whole morally superior attitude, though. Like, we're vegans. We're morally superior to everyone else because we don't eat meat, and even though the fact that DDT and all the crops that we use to protect plant life and whatnot, those kill millions of more animals per year. But hey, we'll just ignore that fact.
Well, it's inconsistent. I think the vegan argument.
I have a hilarious story, actually. I just remembered it, so thank you. So, the first year I was here on this campus, PETA showed up.
Ooh, ew.
I love PETA, especially with lamb.
And I didn't know that it was PETA. It was just at first they didn't have any signs or anything, so it was take this survey and we'll give you $5. So they were literally giving away $5 if you just take this survey. So it was all how many meals of meat do you eat per week? And I just put 5. And it was this. They were asking all these weird questions about diet and whatnot. At first I thought it was a whole thing.
Right.
So then they pull up this video and it's it's all about the danger.
You picked out there, bud?
It's all the tragedy of factory farming and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So afterwards, they're how's this video change your mind at all? And I'm no. So then I still got the $5. I went in the cafeteria and went and bought a hamburger, and then went back out into the quad here and ate it in front of him and was I said thank you for lunch. So they were just like mortified too. So.
Oh gosh, Sam.
After that video, I probably would have said it made me hungry.
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean, they kind of do it to themselves. Like they ask for it.
Yeah.
Well, they were giving away free money for
A survey.
That's kind of really underhanded, though.
For like.
It is.
And all that.
I know. Well, and that's exactly why I decided to like turn it on. And I'm like, okay, you're going to pay me to try and indoctrinate me. Guess what? I'm going to buy a hamburger with this just to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Capital.
Use that money for good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Here's a real funny thing. Even if they got what they wanted and we converted the entirety of the society into a vegan mindset, it's completely unsustainable. For one thing, there's no way we could farm anywhere near enough plants to support the American population, let alone like the entire world. Secondarily, even like vegan products like vegan cheeses and whatnot.
They're so fucking gross.
Well,
So gross and expensive.
but besides that, do you know how many like different compounds are needed to make those? Because they have to pretty much synthesize several different compounds from several different plants to do that. The crops alone, just to synthesize like a couple hundred packets of those cheeses, would be near impossible for us to grow.
Dang.
Alone.
I mean, I'm just pulling this out of a hat, but I think it'd be a lot more not only healthier but cost efficient if we just revert back to like a range-free animal.
Oh yeah,
That's what Ted Nugent has been advocating for years.
Right.
And yet,
because it takes care of the cruelty that comes in the slaughtering, but also because one of the problems with meat that I'll acknowledge is that we're pumping in a bunch of antibiotics into it and we're making us resistant.
Factory farming is totally fucked up. So free range farming is definitely way more ethical.
Yeah, but see, like that was the problem. Like this PETA video I saw, they were like saying even free range farming is like it started out like the video started out like all about factory farming, and I'm like, okay, I agree with 90, and they're like, but also free range farming is also cruel and unusual, and I'm like, so eat vegan, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. They don't understand. They've never been on a farm, and they don't understand. And like, I'm not saying I have either, but I've been in Boy Scouts. I've done like naturey shit before, so I at least I mean, even so, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to like understand, farming and whatnot, or at least it shouldn't.
Yeah.
So
You also
farming is pretty complex. I worked on my uncle's cattle ranch when I was way younger.
Well,
I mean, it'd be freaking crazy. It can be pretty complex, but it's not the like end all be all like hardest thing to do in the world.
Right.
I'm sorry, Seth. I think I interrupted you.
Oh.
you get milkier clouds if you squeeze it.
We're right there.
They switched to a side topic about vaping right now.
No, we're not getting into a side conversation about vaping.
We can though. This is a
No, it's fine. I want to talk about. So, when you go vegan, you deprive your body of a lot of things that you actually need to survive. Proteins and what is it?
You just use powder?
From like red meat, you get specifically creatine and a couple other things, but depriving yourself of that stuff is not good for your body.
You need a lot of fatty acids for just straight up brain development beyond anything else, which you get from a lot of meat.
Here's the thing. The reason why people that have six-packs don't eat carbs is because carbohydrates are an energy compound.
Oh.
So when you eat those carbohydrates, you give your body energy. But when you're doing activity with no carbohydrates, you're pretty much just destroying fat inside your body until there's no fat left.
Wow.
Bless you.
Yo, dude, you're freaking awesome, dog.
I was just turning down the speed on my wheelchair. So anyway, continue.
But I mean, when you deprive yourself
That's
of...
Stephen Hawking sneezing. I just got that.
I
I just straight up got that.
I've got a Stephen Hawking story for
Oh god.
Let's finish the vegan thing.
Okay,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
No,
dude.
that was,
Do your
that
thing,
was
brother.
just about it.
Dang.
Well, no, but you're right. Well, the thing about diet is, like, I don't think we'll ever completely. I mean, we will, but it's a very hard thing to really narrow down. Because I think something we forget is everybody is different chemically. Like, every person is their own biosphere.
That's true.
And because there's some people like Sam Harris went on the vegan diet and it completely destroyed him.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't. It didn't work for him. Now some people who can eat meat, they just can't.
Yeah,
They
Crohn's
have to go on,
disease.
right.
Yeah.
One.
So it's whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Jordan. On the flip side, Jordan. I don't know if any of you guys heard the Joe Rogan podcast with Jordan Peterson's
the
daughter.
carnivore diet. Yeah.
For those. Oh, and for the. You probably don't know who Jordan Peterson is, but he's a clinical psychologist. He's also a Christian too,
Mm-hmm.
and his daughter, she has like this auto.
Isn't it an autoimmune disorder?
Yeah, she has an autoimmune disorder where she basically can't eat anything but red meat, or else she gets like really sick. Like
Whoa.
like she
Heavy allergic reactions.
like I think she had.
Yeah, we talk about systematic lupus endotropis. I believe I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
Wow.
she had like severe arthritis.
Right. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
it's systematic lupus endo something.
She had like severe arthritis when she was 16,
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't. And she was like getting depressed all the time, and they couldn't. No one could figure out like what was going on, like what was wrong with her. Like she was just like one of those cases, and
Mhm.
she literally couldn't eat anything except for red meat, and so she just like switched it to the diet. So, I mean, I love myself a good steak, and I've joked before that I probably would eat steak if that's all
Mhm.
but at the same time, like, geez, that's gotta be hard too.
I couldn't imagine.
So when I was weightlifting for like in high school, my coach told me that I had to maintain like over my natural weight. So I had to gain about 6 pounds and keep that weight on, like practicing 2 times a day.
Yeah.
So every single day I had to eat at least a pound of meat, a loaded baked potato, and a pint of ice cream. I had to physically force myself to eat that in order to maintain
That's an expensive
241s. It is a very expensive diet. But I mean,
I'm feeling wing sandwich. Always
Sure,
If-
yeah.
if
Yeah.
He's like, I got to.
if I'm being honest,
Actually, can you bring that over? I've got the
bring that
iPad set up, so yeah, bring.
that is the best
Dinner
shape that I've
served.
ever been in my entire life.
Yeah, my final 2 points I'll make on the whole vegan thing, and then maybe we could start moving on to a different topic. First off, you want like a really good video that explains a lot of the like health declines when it comes to going to a straight up vegan diet, and it's not just someone spouting a bunch of medical facts at you. It will be actually someone talking about their experience with the whole thing because they were vegan themselves, went through it, and it basically destroyed their body. I'll name drop a very well-known YouTube channel, a guy by the name of Steven Crowder. He is a French-Canadian conservative, political speaker in a way would be a word describing him. I
Yeah,
don't really know.
anyone who listens to my podcast probably knows who Steven Crowder is.
Oh, there is, it's like a 30-40 minute long video of him having an interview with a woman who does a lot of anti-vegan speeches and stuff, pretty much warning the dangers of it because she did it for like 20 years of her life and it destroyed her health. It's just not a viable way to live your life. Like some people can get away with it, but that's because of their specific metabolism. The final thing I will say on this is, even if you want to make the whole moral argument that it's kind to animals not to eat them, that's fine and all, but you're still having an enormous environmental impact because here's the thing, agricultural farming is one of the most destructive things we do to the environment. besides having to clear large plots of land, which basically displaces animals, kills all kinds of things, kills natural bacteria that the environment needs, it also completely depletes soil of nutrients over time if you're irresponsible with it. If you do not replenish the nutrients into that environment every so often by doing proper forms of agricultural rotation and making sure you're refertilizing the ground, you're going to turn it into a barren desert. We did it here in the Americas in the early 20th century with the Dust Bowl. That's the friggin' reason why the Fertile Crescent a couple thousand years ago stopped being the Fertile Crescent. They literally farmed it into a desert.
Dang.
Now it's just like fucking modern day, Iraq or something? I don't remember where exactly it is anymore.
Iraq.
Well, the other thing
Modern
with
day Iraq, which is just a desert.
the other thing with this no hunting stuff is even if we don't kill the animals, they'll kill each other, and then the problem is if we don't hunt the predators, then the ecosystems get all messed up, and
I think something that we don't realize is life itself is very hard to sustain, because one species will never last forever. If we think about it, in order for life to sustain, it has to destroy. This goes for every life form. It has to destroy, or it has to manipulate the environment around them. So we can, if we go all vegan, if we go all, I don't know, diet SJW, I don't know how you want to say it, you're still consuming the earth in some fashion. You're still manipulating it. You're still depriving it of something for your own take. And so it gets to the point where, well, how long is this going to sustain for this amount of time? That's why things evolve. Different life forms evolve to adapt to different environments, because those environments change from just sustaining. Like humans are gonna, if the universe dies off, whatever, it kills us. If that's not it, it'll be ourselves. I mean, we could be every country in the world could disarm themselves. We could be singing Kumbaya, holding hands or whatnot. But at the end of the day, we will destroy ourselves through trying to sustain ourselves.
That's if the plant doesn't kill us in general first, because actually the plant does go through some massive different kinds of cycles every couple thousand years, including massive changes to the electromagnetic field of the plant, where pretty much the poles actually flip. So that's actually caused several mass extinctions. The couple dozen times the plant has done it in its life cycle so far. So, about maybe 10,000 years from now, Homo sapiens will be probably dead. But then again, every other form of proto-human has died off already, going from Australopithecus up to Homo habilis up to Neanderthal. They all died off.
Intellect right here, yo.
Homo sapiens, we're the longest lasting, intelligent primate species, next to things like gorillas and some other lesser primates.
Until
But, I mean, gorillas might replace us in a few thousand years, because they're actually currently going through the Stone Age. I mean, they use simple tools. Same thing we were doing 10,000 years ago, so who knows? Gorillas might replace us if they evolve a bit more.
That was them beating on their chest.
Also, the other argument to not going vegan, animals are delicious. Why would you deprive yourself?
Animals are
Damn right.
Not to mention baby animals.
What?
Something about a lamb. I don't know whether they're so pure and so innocent, but they are delicious.
Veal?
Okay, actually,
incredible.
I'm going to stop you here on this one, because, worked on a cattle farm. I'm just going to say this. Veal is horrible, not because it's terrible to kill the animal or whatever, not the vegan bullshit, but cows do not like to be deprived of their babies. They are both horribly aggressive, and they scream. I swear, you have never heard a cow scream before. It's terrifying. If you take a calf away from its mother, the mother will go ballistic. I mean, it will scream for days on end.
Dang.
Oh, I bet.
It's horrifying. Like
bet.
you almost just want to like either shoot yourself or shoot the damn cow.
Yeah.
It's just like
Or
God
just
damn
cook it
it.
in some marsala wine.
Yeah.
Serve it with some noodles.
I'm just
That's
saying.
dinner.
Like veal is the one thing where I will draw the line because
Veal
I
and
worked
steak.
on a cattle ranch. I know what happens.
Sounds
Well-
like a good combo.
Well, I would just say, okay, you're next, Mom.
Exactly.
Oh gosh. He snapped.
I'm gonna have veal steak and a nice tall glass of milk.
Oh.
Whole milk.
Whole
milk. We're not filtering
Yeah,
that shit.
I don't fucking know. 2%.
No. Do you drink 2% because you think you're fat?
Oh, what about almond milk?
you know what?
Almond milk is
It's
okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
it's okay.
It's good.
It's not gross.
I want to go into inside jokes in there at once.
Yeah, by the way, warning to all young men out there. If you're going to drink like alternative milks like almond milk and coconut milk, stick to those. I mean, as far as I know, those aren't bad for you, but do not do soy milk. That shit is
No,
poison
that-
in a bottle.
Wait, why?
So it's both very high in sodium, which is really bad for your blood pressure, and like especially not good for young children to be taking in large amounts of sodium
Unless
because
you
they
drink
can't
a lot of water.
process it.
Huh.
Secondarily, soy actually does have some hormones in it, and I forget the exact names of the hormones.
It has high
that
amounts of
are
estrogen.
very similar to estrogen. So if you give a lot of soy to a very young developing boy, it will actually stunt their growth.
And estrogen, for those who don't know, that's the female hormone. So
I mean,
The pussy chemical.
I mean, men do naturally have estrogen in their body, but it's a very low amount. If you start
Now go
putting
have me killed,
large
man.
artificial amounts of estrogen into a young boy's body,
Oh, man.
you will stunt their growth and you will do some really fucked up things to their metabolism that will only harm them later in life. And it can actually make it very hard for those young men to actually have children of their own later in
That's why
life.
you get these like soy boys.
Yep.
There's this cultural shift to eat a bunch of soy, like whether it's soy milk or soy and
Soy is
products.
good for you.
There's soy in a lot of things, and then so it makes sense when a lot of the males nowadays they're getting this intake of soy, and then they're exhibiting like feminine qualities that
but then
That's terrible.
But then these soy boys are also roundhouse kicking
are also around sticking
pregnant ladies at pro-life rallies. So
Whoa.
yeah, I didn't know about that. I forgot where it was, but basically there was like an anti-abortion / pro-life Christian thing outside of like a Planned Parenthood, and this guy who was like a ponytail, like basically a lefty,
Mm-hmm.
He was like a hipster.
pretending to be for a woman's right to choose, a right to
Not to murder their children.
No.
basically roundhouse kick this pregnant woman.
Mm-hmm.
See,
So-
but here's the thing: abortion's not murder because the being is not sentient. Not
Well, here's the thing.
That-
Where
that's
do you
the-
define where something is a living being?
yet. After it's born.
I would honestly say at conception, because I mean, at like 21 days, you already start to have a heartbeat. At like about
Well, what do you
about
mean-
like
what do you mean
4
sentient?
weeks. You
Yeah,
know,
that's a good question. What's sentient?
4 weeks, you start to get brain activity. So like,
I don't know. I would define it as when they actually are born.
Now, Seth, are you just playing devil's advocate, or are you?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Here's why I think life starts at conception. Because, like, if you've taken a biology class, like, and you're going through the chapter on reproduction,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get this picture of all these fetuses from different animals, and they look relatively the same. Like the fetus of a chicken, the fetus of a human, of a lizard. They look relatively the same. So then the argument is, well, we eat animals, we kill animals, why can't we, for societal reasons, terminate this life? Well, the problem is, after 9 months, how come a chicken doesn't come out of a woman? How come a lizard doesn't come out of a woman? Because when that female egg and that male sperm combine, you're mixing two strands of DNA each from each parent. That's human DNA. So that germ, that what is it?
Zygote.
Is going to become a human, like without a doubt. It won't become a chicken. It won't become a reptile. It has the blueprint of a human. That being said, the way we, back then we used to classify animals based on how they look like compared to others. Now we classify them on their genes. So that's how we track them, through taxonomy, through their genes. So that's how we are able to define animals. Then that's how we're able to define, different feti. So that's going to be human. It already is a human by definition, by genetic definition. So that's why I think life starts at conception. That's a human life.
And also, I'm just going to put this out there. How is it okay to kill the child before it's out of the womb? All right, fine. That's you. If you don't want to consider that murder, that's how you're going to define that. You don't want to say that's murder. But now, if the child was actually born and the woman is suffering from, postpartum depression or some weird mental disorder, and she then smothers her child with a pillow, is it murder at that point? What, because the kid is outside the body, now it's fucking murder?
Here's an even better one, okay? Why is it that in murder cases, if a pregnant woman is murdered, it's considered a double homicide?
It's already by law. Law already recognizes 2 lives.
Dang, that's
Shots
crazy.
fired. Shots fired.
That's
killing
crazy.
A future generation of children.
Right.
So I feel like that's why it's considered a double.
By the way,
You're killing potential life.
Oh, and
that's like saying eating eggs. Is that killing baby chicks? Exactly.
Well,
no, it is.
It's our concept.
It is pretty much.
Really,
although those aren't fertilized eggs, though.
they're not fertilized, but they're still eggs.
But at that point, they're just
yeah.
Though here's the thing, though. When you have an unfertilized chicken egg, yeah, I get where you're going with that, but there is no correlating genetic code that's being added to that to form new life. At that point, it is a mass of protein.
Yeah.
So, that is sort of a different thing. It's really kind of, when you put 2 strands of DNA and now it starts to go through replication, there is life. At that point, beforehand, though, it is a mass of protein. I will not consider a human egg cell life outside the fact that it is a living cell. So, yes, it is alive in the sense it is a living cell, but I wouldn't say it's sentient life. But once you compound 2 strands of DNA, it starts to replicate. You are working your way into sentience because that will become a new living creature.
Take this guy.
no problem. I love how we're gonna trigger so many people on this podcast anyway, but specifically on this topic, all of us in the studio here are all men talking about pro-life versus pro-choice. And I don't want to get too bogged down on this topic, but one of the things that really bugs me is, well, it's not a man's body, so therefore
it shouldn't be our choice.
Whereas back when I was in high school, I knew guys who got their girlfriends pregnant, and then the chick wanted to abort or whatever, and she used the excuse of, he's not.
I got an argument for that.
Yeah, I've got one too, but I'd like to hear yours because I bet it's similar to mine.
The whole thing, my body, my choice, I'm the one carrying the baby. Here's the thing, though. The baby is not part of your body. It is inside your body. It is separate from you. It has a separate heartbeat. It has a separate brain activity.
It is
you know what?
off of you, though.
So what? If I have pneumonia, I have bacteria growing in my lungs. Do I consider fucking bacteria part of my body? No. Neither does my immune system. And guess what? The female immune system attacks the fetus as well. It's quite common for miscarriages to happen because the fetus was too weak compared to the immune system. So, if the female body literally considers it a foreign object and attacks it, I'm pretty sure we can say it's not part of your fucking body, because I wouldn't consider bacteria in my lungs part of my body.
I think my argument for the whole choice thing is, well, it comes down to the morality of it. Because if you define life at conception as human life, then obviously it's going to be murder. So because of that, the argument is, well, why should the government regulate my body? Well, it already does. The moment, you're born, the moment you're conceived, the government is already regulating. Because here's the thing. It says if I just turned you and I took my knife and I just stabbed you, right? Because that was an unauthorized killing, the state can come in and say, hey, don't do that. That's wrong. We're going to take you away.
They would put you in a prison for stabbing.
Yes, for stabbing. Yeah, but how did that occur? My arm with an object. I don't even have to kill you with an object. I kill you with my bare hands. I mean, I'm sure Seth would overwhelm me 100%, like 9 out of 10 times. But
he's a beast.
Exactly. Thick thighs save lives. Be able to take lives too.
Hell yeah. Squish your head like a water.
Exactly. But the point being is the state is regulating my arm that's doing the stabbing. So if you're going to make the argument, well, it's my choice. Well, no, it's not. Because when you are aborting that fetus, you're aborting that life.
And you're putting morality into the equation.
Well, it's impossible not to.
Yeah, you really can't.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, most abortion clinics get government funding, which is paid through taxpayer dollars, obviously. Here's the thing. I have the right to say, yeah, no. When you basically made the government your pimp, and they're paying for your shit, we kind of have the right to say something about it at that point, because we're the ones paying for it.
Well,
that'd be cool.
The other thing I
basically made the government your pimp.
Make the government my pimp. It does.
the other argument, and this is when they're losing the pro-choice argument, is when they bring up this argument, because it's the most extreme argument. This is one I always get. Well, Sam, imagine if you had a daughter and she's walking home from school or whatever, and she gets raped and has to put up with that child. Like, do you really want to? You have no idea what it's like to carry a child. Do you really want her to deal with the trauma? And I'm like, well, okay. First of all, you're another dude, so you don't know.
Yeah. The way that I stand on it, I am pro-choice, but I'm only pro-choice because I say it should be your moral decision to say, hey, it's okay for me not to kill this thing that's growing inside me, or I need to preserve this life, or I can't have a child.
Yeah.
It's that kind of moral thing.
Well, even so, though, I mean, if you can't, physically take care of it, I mean, I know plenty of couples who
would be willing to have a baby.
That's the thing, because the pro-life argument is not, technically, it's not anti-choice. Because you have other options. There's adoption, there's abstinence, there's contraception. I think we forget about the consequences.
Yeah, and
don't swing your dick around, kids.
Well,
unless she's on the pill.
Well,
unless she's on the pill.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I never had it.
Well, the
switch between bowls. Make it interesting.
The poop hole is a loophole.
Exactly.
That shit got weird.
Believe me, we've covered much weirder stuff on this podcast, but no, I mean the other argument is well, no one wants to adopt a sick black baby from, and I'm like, well, that's a cynical worldview that no one would want to adopt So I mean, that's the ironic thing is these same people who claim to be like for like humanity and for like pro-choice, like they're the most cynical people when it comes to like people wanting to adopt.
Well, there's a lack of responsibility in I guess leftist ideology. Because I think one of the hallmarks, if you define what is the fundamental difference between conservatives and liberals, I think is the matter of responsibility. Liberals want freedom from responsibility, whereas conservatives want freedom of responsibility.
Yeah, I feel like it also, the other real difference is understanding how their society works, because a lot of conservatives, they follow a structural functionalist approach to how our societies ran, whereas Democrats are, like really far left people, they take the approach of like a conflict theory kind of thing where we're oppressed because of this entity that we can't control.
Some boogeyman in the dark.
We need to put things that we can put control on this thing so that we're not.
And it's not to say that hasn't existed in the past. I mean, for sure, slavery was an actual thing. There's no denying that. But that was over 150 years ago.
Oh, and funny little thing about that: freed blacks also had slaves. Native Americans had slaves. And white people could actually lose their rights if they were enough of a public nuisance in the South and would be put in line next to black slaves. So, I'm sorry, what?
I mean, I feel slavery was a very big part of our socialization. I mean, we kind of had to have that to understand, hey, there's some inhumane things that we can't really do to people because it's kind of fucked up.
Right.
It's a little bit fucked up.
Well, but I mean, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, like, okay, people were like, well, we had slavery for the first 150 years of our country. That's shameful. And it's like, yes, but when you consider that, like, basically humanity
has always really had
has had slavery really since the beginning of civilizations for tens. I mean, like
a great many of African countries still currently have slaves.
Oh yeah,
there's still
the Ivory Coast is well known for child slavery.
Sex trafficking is still very heavily prominent.
Sex trafficking is a big problem, like here in
basically name an African country.
Florida.
Slaves.
Well, yeah, that and that's another thing is a lot of the slave traders in Africa are like black. Like they enslave each other.
I think where
it's not even so much a race thing in some countries.
It's a class. It's not right. But that's the thing, though. I think it's hard in the United States specifically. So there's a war, right? It's near impossible not to separate race from slavery,
right?
And that's where I think it gum ups.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist completely.
No, yeah, it makes it a problem when it comes to trying to get through what you're trying to how would you say move on.
Yeah.
Because one of the criteria for slaves, I mean, I know the point you made about
it pretty much there was a lot of people had slaves. Freed African Americans had slaves.
Americans
had slaves.
But the legal parameters for slaves, one of them was there was a preference for African descendants to be slaves. You know what I mean? Because we imported those slaves from Africa. We didn't. It wasn't a class system like in Africa.
But they could buy their way out, though. That was the thing. There was plenty of people that pretty much bought their way out of slavery and went on to own property and have slaves.
That's not. Yeah, that's. I understand that. That's not the argument I'm trying to make is that the United States, and specifically, it's near impossible not to make it a subject of race, because one of the criteria for slaves, and in the Civil War era, and then pretty much the early half of American history, was that one of the criteria for slaves was Africans.
True, but here's the one thing I will kind of say here. There wasn't so much of a huge divide in the race relations back then, because, first off, only the most wealthy of people could have slaves, because it was expensive to have slaves. Like, really, only the most wealthy people could. So not everyone had slaves. Yeah. And a lot of common white folk worked alongside these slaves in the thing, because clearly they worked for these ranchers.
I disagree. I think there's definitely still a racial divide, racial tensions.
Well, now it's definitely stirred up, but for the wrong reasons.
No. Blacks, in early American history, were discriminated solely on the basis of their race.
I'm also.
Why is there a derogatory term for black people? Why is the word nigger, such a bad term?
That's just connotation. The language itself. First off, the Spanish word for black is negro. The Spanish were who sold. The Spanish and the Dutch were pretty much the primarily slave traders at the time back then, and the Spanish were the ones who sold directly to the English colonist slaves. So pretty much them hearing them just describing, Negro man, pretty much it just worked its way that way.
If you read literature of the 19th century describing black people, the common word for a black person was a Negro. Negroes.
Yeah, just the English translation of the word Negro.
But there's still no. There's people, up until the 1950s at least, black people were still described as Negroes. But why does the word nigger also exist with it?
I would say that was just
it's the difference between I'm a Latino, but there's also the word wetback.
Yeah, and I'm a Jew. There's a word kike.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So race relations during the time of enslavement were still bad, if not worse, because people actually cared about your race. That's why blacks didn't get the ability to vote until
1960.
Not 20.
Actually, in the 1800s, blacks were given the rights to vote, but then it was pretty much taken away by Jim Crow laws in the South.
Right. So race relations were still bad back then.
And I'm just going to say this, before the Civil War, it was actually legal for whites and blacks to intermarry with each other. And if a black plantation owner married and had children with, if a white plantation owner married and had children with a black woman, those children had the rights to those lands
what
too.
State though? Because
most of the South, it was legal. It wasn't until the Jim Crow era that got abolished and taken away, because it was pretty much retaliation for the war and for giving voting rights to African Americans.
Right. So.
But they were allowed to own land and marry whites. It wasn't until Jim Crow era that shit went out the window.
Yeah. So what's your argument? Because I feel your argument is, slavery existed in multiple civilizations, so it wasn't really about race. It was just about circumstance of trade and labor. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. Yes, sometimes it is greatly about race, but there are plenty of countries where they enslave themselves, where they have mass genocides against themselves.
That's for a lot of the other countries. The United States was predominantly racist towards having African Americans as slaves.
Because if you say other countries enslaved its own citizens,
Egypt.
Why didn't we?
Yeah.
But we made the choice, the economic and racial choice.
But also, it was something that was brought
to import Africans.
Hundreds of years before Europeans started taking slaves from the African continent, North Africans, the Moors, they would raid most of the Mediterranean, kill a whole bunch of people, take people prisoner, and then sell them into slavery into the Middle East.
Yeah.
So, there's an example of, a North African group of people doing the exact same thing. Why is it that like we focus so much on, as far as like in the American culture, oh, it was the whites suppressing the blacks, and it's so terrible because of that. Yes, but I mean, you can see the exact opposite at other times throughout the world.
But that's like in other places.
We're not disagreeing. We're not disagreeing with you. I think nowadays though too we also tend to look at things in terms of like slavery and whatnot and race relations, just in general.
He's being so quiet about all this.
Hey, dude, I love this conversation.
Well,
you guys are awesome.
The one black guy in the room is just being like,
hey, fight for me, bro. Go ahead, fight for me, bro. I'm gonna chill out. Whatever, bro.
Well, no, let's bring you into this. So
it's super fucking quiet over there.
Like, I guess here's
Fight for me, bro.
Here's what I want to know. But this is I mean, I've asked you this before, Orion, but I mean, what are race relations today? Do you think they're better or worse or like?
Well, if you think about it like this, man, I'm a African American man at a college. And definitely better today.
Yeah, and you're blind too.
Exactly. And I'm able to sit at the front of the bus.
Legally, it's better.
Yeah.
Legally, race relations are better. I don't think socially race relations. I don't think they've improved. No, I think they've improved. But here's the thing: I think there's a tendency to bring back racial disparities.
And they're basically in the 60s. We tried to make sure everybody was on equal footing, and from the 70s to now, they're trying to walk all that crap backwards. Like, I'm just gonna say that. Like, we got everything going great in the 60s, and then somewhere in the 70s, shit just started trying to backtrack.
70s were a good time for fashion,
Bell bottoms,
music, bell bottoms,
absolutely, boots.
I still listen to 70s.
I'm just saying, like, in the 60s, we tried to stop having things like white-only schools and such of that now. Nowadays, there are actual colleges out there where there are black organized groups on the colleges saying, we want a black-only dorm. It's like, you want to segregate yourself all over again. What the fuck?
No, I see what you're saying. I agree with that there is this kind of reversion to segregate as a form of desegregating, if you see that? Right.
Yeah,
it's like some weird reverse psychology bullshit.
It's just how we were taught, man.
Well, also though, you had an interesting perspective on things because you're legally blind. And, I mean, I know you can see stuff, but I mean, you've also said to me multiple times, you know, just in private, that you know, skin color doesn't really, you don't give a shit about it.
Well, I've come to the conclusion that if you cut anybody in this room, we all bleed red. So, yeah, our outer appearance might be different, but if you look at animals, their outer appearance is different.
He's speaking gang talk, ladies and gentlemen. He's already
talking. You know, he's got a point. We all bleed red. We all want a house with a white picket fence. And we all knew Beyonce's.
I don't know if I want a white house. Maybe I want a red house.
Well, see, that's the thing about America that is so great. Like, you do you.
Yeah.
Like, I think
my joke
I do not care. I do not give a shit what race you are.
No, I got it.
You shouldn't.
I'm like, my thing is like, I'm pro whatever makes you happy.
Like, as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Economically,
as long as you're not holding up traffic.
Yes.
Like, people are like, hey, do you like gay people? I'm like, do they hold up traffic?
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I was getting.
I like gay people.
I'm sorry if I was getting crazy earlier, but I find it so fucking weird to me because I'm a first generation in my family to be born in America. My mother's from Ireland and my father's Russian.
Wow.
So, you know, I'm first generation basically. And here's the thing. this is the most open and accepting country in the world. All the countries in Europe that want to say, oh, we're so accepting, we bring in people.
Right.
Fuck all you. You guys are full of shit.
You put away a dude for teaching a pug how to salute Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fuck is wrong with you?
And
fuck you.
no, here's the thing, though.
As a joke,
As
too.
a joke.
Here's the thing, though. If I was to tomorrow fly up to Italy and apply for Italian citizenship, I went through the gauntlet of whatever I have to do to get Italian citizenship. I learned the language and I start living my life anew in Italy tomorrow. I started all that. I went through the entire process. I would not be looked at as an Italian citizen for even when I get my citizenship in Italy. Everyone around me would look at me as an American.
No doubt.
I would not be. Here, someone comes from Mexico legally, goes through the entire process and all that. The second they get their citizenship, they are an American citizen. Nobody will question them. It's like, oh, you're an American citizen. Good for you. I do that to any other country in Europe or anywhere else. I am not whatever, even if I got the citizenship there, I am an American who lives there. That's how they will look at me. That's how they will treat me. If you went to Africa tomorrow and you started walking around, I don't know, fucking Nigeria, they will instantly pick up, even if you speak Nigerian, they will instantly pick up that you're an American and they will treat you like an American. They will not look at you
That's
as...
interesting that you picked Nigeria.
No, I just picked the first one that came to mind. South Africa, Swaziland,
The only exception is Canada.
Chad, name an African country. I don't care.
Canada's like just so chill with everything, but secretly they're like one of the worst countries.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Trudeau's a fucking asshole.
I
Trudeau's a little girl.
fucking love Canada, but their government's kind of
government's
fucked up.
horrible.
It's kind of.
Did you guys hear about? You guys know what's going on in Alberta?
No.
What's up?
No.
Okay, so as a little backstory, in geopolitics. So Alberta is a Canadian province. They have a lot of I think shale, and it's a form of like oil. It's a form of oil, and we have a lot of I forgot. The point is, Alberta has a lot of oil, and
It's rich in oil.
it's rich in oil. That's why they're very economically prosperous, and that's why they get taxed the most. Out of all the other Canadian provinces, they get taxed the most. Quebec, the French-speaking province, they previously had a referendum to separate from Canada to become their own French state. And a way they resolved that was that the Canadian government pays Quebec to stay in Canada.
Wow.
And so one of the many, because Canada, they have socialized medicine. So your taxes are already super high to pay for everyone else's health care. That you're getting another tax on top of that just to keep Quebec inside of Canada. And so Albertans are taxed at a higher rate because they have, this economic surplus to keep another province in. Well, Alberta is very tired of it. And so actually the second largest party in Alberta is a secession party. So they really want to get out of Canada. So one of the options, there are a couple options for Alberta's future. They could, secede, become their own country. That's the easiest. It's not the most sustainable because you have to form your own, army, your own borders, yada, yada, yada. Becoming a country is not easy.
But no. Countries don't need borders, didn't you know?
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
We don't need borders.
We don't need, right. That is
Canada.
You can tell that to Norway that literally put up walls around their entire fucking border, but, whatever.
Yeah.
Canada has one of the largest real unregulated borders in the entire world.
Yeah.
There's a portion of, I think it's Minnesota, where you can drive straight through.
Right.
And all you have to do is report to a U.S. Customs office and say, I'm in the United States now.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I think the problem with Canada, though, the really only problem I see, all of their policies and things are really good in concept.
Yeah.
Well, so is communism.
So is communism. Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. In practice, they are really fucking awful.
Yeah.
So is communism.
Just like communism. I mean, saying, hey, me and you get the exact same amount of money. Yeah, that's cool as shit. But here's the thing.
Both poor as fuck.
We're both poor as fuck, but if one of us slacks off, it doesn't matter because I still get paid as much as you. I don't have to do shit at work, and I still get paid as much as you.
Yeah. But back on the whole Alberta thing, so the three options are that they secede or whatever. Probably the most long-lasting solution is for Alberta, to become the 51st state.
That'd be cool as shit.
So imagine having Alberta as an American state.
Then Obama's gaffe wouldn't be quite as bad.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, it's better than some other options. Like, I know Puerto Rico has been pining to become a state all of a sudden, but that's because they're in, like, absolute economic failure. And the funny thing is, like, they basically are just horribly corrupt, and they just think we're going to keep bailing them out.
Oh,
and that's why I'm just like, you know what? Fuck Puerto Rico. They don't get to be a state because
it's also
they're not wanting to be a state for any real reason. They just want to be bailed out because, first off, they're a fucking island in the Caribbean, but they had not a single cent in the treasury ready for a hurricane to hit them, and now they're up shit's creek without a paddle.
But it's all
and they want us to bail them out.
It's all Donald Trump. It's all Donald Trump's fault because he's a rich white billionaire, or at least that's what they say.
I gotta squeeze a little bit.
So.
I like this guy, man. I like this guy, bro. This guy's awesome. Did you guys catch that? He said he's gonna go squeeze the lemonade. I don't know if y'all caught that.
Yo.
we.
But I mean, you know what? Here, if there's any place that really should become states, I would actually say America Samoa or Guam, which are also territories that we own. Because, I can't remember the exact figures off my head, but with like Guam, a quarter of their population signs up for the U.S. military.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not considered U.S. citizens. They walk around with passports, U.S. passports, as their form of identification. But in the back of that passport, it says non-citizen. They don't get to vote on any of our things. But a quarter of their population signs up and participates in our military. And then like America Samoa, I'm pretty sure like an eighth of their land is a military base that we use.
I think it is
Pacific. So you know what? If there's any two places that deserve to become states and their people become citizens, I'd say those two islands. Because you know what? Quarter of their population serves their military, and an eighth of their land is a military base for us. I think if there's anyone that deserves it, it'd be them.
Yeah.
Fuck Puerto Rico, and I don't know about what was it, Quebec or Quebec? Whichever. The Canadians. I don't know if the Canadians want to become part of us. I don't really have an opinion on that one, so whatever.
The real thing to that is you have to take into consideration what's going to happen if they become a state. Because obviously you take like Puerto Rico, their economy's in the shitter. We
would be bailing them out.
That's
what I'm saying. No to them.
We have to raise taxes in order to maintain that equilibrium within our country.
How long are y'all trying to keep this rolling?
You have to change
I was
their
first
entire system because they would be adopted into.
They use our currency though. Puerto Rico uses our currency.
I thought they used pesos.
No, they use our currency.
Oh, never mind.
But I mean, here's the thing though.
There we go.
Puerto Rico, I'm saying no because we would be completely economically bailing them out because they fuck themselves over because they have a really.
Well, I mean, still.
It's so funny,
If we
bro.
send Scott over there.
Such personality over here we have.
If we send Rick Scott
Wait, no,
over,
let's send Ryan Gilman over there and see what happens.
Andrew Gilman?
Andrew Gilman.
Oh my God.
We'll just do it as a test run. We're like, hey, do you want to make a separate socialist country?
What's on David Hogg over there to be the chief of
security?
It'd be great.
Everybody has tasers.
Yes.
All the cops don't have guns.
It'd be great.
I don't even think David Hogg wants tasers. Like, I think that's too extreme for him, too.
I love him.
I feel like I do too. Japan has it right. They're just like, hey, melee weapons.
Yeah, it's carrot. It's not.
It's just
Yeah, I just looked it up. Puerto Rico does use U.S. currency.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Oh, for real they do?
But, yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Well, they're in American territory.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I mean, you were out of the room when I said it. Two places I would actually say they actually deserve to become a state if we decide to go that way would either be Guam or American Samoa. Because like with Guam, they're an American territory, and like a quarter of their population signs up for the U.S. military annually and serves, and it works as members of our military. And with American Samoa, like an eighth of their land is a military base that we use in the South Pacific. So, if anything, yeah, people that literally give up most of their island and most of their populations to serve our needs, yeah, they deserve to be a state. And
I heard the people there can't vote. Is that true?
Yeah, they cannot vote.
What's that?
They can't vote for a U.S. presidency, even though they are a U.S. territory. They do not have voting rights for our presidency. They can vote for their own governors and stuff like that. That's fine, but they do not have the right to decide the president, who is frankly in charge of them, because American territory.
That's a joke.
There's a fucking. We are going to make Puerto Rico the best state.
The best state. The very best state. The best state.
It would be brilliant.
They're surrounded by.
Well, guys,
Everybody's doing okay
this has been fun.
right now, just so you know, since you can't see this shit.
So much water.
This has been fun, guys. I don't mean to kick you out, but
You gotta do what you gotta do.
the process has to continue.
Yeah.
The machine has to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was good. It was good having you guys on there. We'll have to do a part 2, and maybe part 3 of this at some point down the road.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
This was awesome, guys.
I'm sure
Just
my first time hanging out with y'all.
in the room, just talking. Like, this is y'all form of music. That's what
I
I
like that.
This is y'all form of music. Y'all be in a room, straight talking about some crazy stuff.
I like
Be
that.
like, yo, I'm just sitting here. I'm like,
Let's try to track how this conversation went. First, it was like anti-vegan. Then it went into pro-life territory. Then where the fuck did we go from there? I think it was like racism. And then somehow we got into.
But I ended up with barbecue sauce on my titties.
I think that's how we should end it.
That's how we should end it.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go to the outro. Good night. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Alrighty, folks. I'm back in the studio post conversation with the guys. And again, I want to thank you for listening to our conversation. It was fun to do and just to kind of free flow the podcast and see where it went. You gotta do episodes like that every once in a while. Even if you're a very serious podcast. It doesn't hurt to just shoot the crap with other guys, and that's one of the things that is great about this medium. You can do that. You can, be talking about your favorite subjects with your friends and just kind of BSing and giving them a hard time. Put it out on the internet and gain, hopefully hundreds and thousands of listeners. So anyway, folks, I want to thank you for listening to that show. Now, on Saturday's show, the big show, as I always like to call it, I will be having my good friend Chuck Boris, former member of the Unbearables, and fellow, he's kind of the captain almost of Sam's Savages, which is my fan base. Anyway, Chuck released a YouTube parody of some SJW chick's song about male rape culture. And as it turns out, Chuck's video has gone viral within 24 hours. I think when I woke up this morning, it was like already at 7,000 or 8,000. And yeah, it was pretty impressive. He gained 3,000 last night in just like, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours after he posted it. So that was really damn impressive. And Chuck's going to be on the podcast this weekend, so be on the lookout for that. And for right now, I think that's about it. So from all of us here on GC1, have a good night or a good day, and God bless, and God save this great nation.